Why, LeBron? Why? Hey guys, Jay. Welcome back to the channel. Guys, I have to admit, when I first heard of starting lineup coming back 22 years later, it really was one of those crazy, what the heck moments is going on right now. But it still was filled with a bunch of hopes. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I am a sports fan to a certain degree. I love baseball. I live in a country that's just crazy, and I do mean crazy about hockey. And you know what? A few years ago, we tasted our first NBA Finals championship. It was absolutely insanity here in the city. No other championship parade had been that big. Just thousands, tens of thousands, possibly even hundreds of thousands of people clogged the streets of Toronto to celebrate the Raptors' win back in, I believe it was 2021, just before the pandemic hit. It was an absolute euphoric moment for everybody involved. And with the introduction of the starting lineup for Hasbro, Panini, and Fanatics, this looked like a dream team to actually bring this all together. But instead, literally, about a year and a half later, we're finding these things in the most unlikely of places. And I want to take a look back at exactly what happened to this line and try to figure out what happened and why people are finding this on massive discount at places like Ollies, TJ Maxx, and Marshalls. Let's take a dive into this, guys, and see exactly what happened to the starting lineup. Let's have a look. Starting lineup definitely was an incredible time for action figures. Just like in this video, 22 years ago, Hasbro did something very special. 382 individual players by the time it was over. 124-player MLB set, 137-player NFL set, and an 85-player NBA set. Starting lineup was the idea that action figures and sports could actually come together and create something special. And 22 years later, this commercial marked the beginning of something new with the return of starting lineup. But about a year and a half after the airing of that commercial and an announced NFL wave in 2023, fans in several states started noticing a surprising trend at several discount stores. This photo, which was posted by In Pursuit of Toys, showed Stephen Curry at $12.99. This started out almost triple when it first announced, and this was not the first time we'd see this. Toy Hunt by Modern Toy Fair showcases something very similar, but as he rounds the corner in one of the locations, there it is, guys. Another starting lineup, 2 in fact, 3. Oh my gosh, can you believe it, guys? There are actually 4, maybe even more. This is absolutely crazy. And of course, they are $12.99 each. This is practically the entire first wave of figures. Moving on to another sighting, we have $13 starting lineup figures at Marshalls by Caveman and Weasel. Streams from Facebook, Trae Young. This one's by Toy Scales. Hasteline Prime found all of these ones. Jerry Vergara found Luke Magic, and even at TJ Maxx, they were selling for around the same price, $13 for Stephen Curry. There's just a ton of them here. How did this happen? I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Doing a search on Hasbro Pulse, trying to find the page for starting lineup, all you get is a Transformers Legacy Evolution needle nose for $17.91. I do some deep digging to find the original listing of these figures, so I had to go all the way back to the Wayback Machine, clicking on the first one on February 15th, 2023, finally getting a listing from Hasbro Pulse. Scrolling down, that's right, guys, these figures were first on sale. LeBron James here as an example, for $49.99 US. That's staggering. Regular action figures in the United States for 6-inch figures range anywhere from $19.99 to probably a little bit on the higher end, $29.99, perhaps even $35.99. This is a staggering $49.99 for LeBron James by himself. The original price tag can be found on multiple different sites, including Project Action Figure, who did list it here at each of the figures. Jayson Tatum, Trae Young, John Morant, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, $49.99 each. And they were really confident, apparently, that these would actually sell. Now you start thinking, what exactly constitutes a $49.99 price point? That's right, guys, we have to talk about the dreaded NFTs in association with Panini. And that's where things got really interesting. There were actually more players involved in this bringing back of starting lineup than you would think. Panini was involved, Fanatics was involved as well on the licensing side, I believe, and of course there was Hasbro. And all of these companies came together to try and bring starting lineup back to life. But when it comes to the NFT portion of this, that's actually where the other half of the costs come in. The actual concept was that you would buy the figures at $30 a figure, and then the additional $20 would go to these NFTs, which, if anybody knows what they are, they're like digital collectibles. So you would have these NFTs, which would be registered in your name, and they would be non-fungible tokens, which apparently, could raise in value over time, much the same way that collectible cards would do the same thing. The confusing part here is that you would actually also receive the physical card. These cards that you see here are actually physical representations of the cards, which were included with the figures. Now, common cards, which were the black versions, the red cards every 1 in 100, the blue cards every 1 in 200, the green cards every 1 in 504, very strange number, and the absolute prize position of the gold card, which was actually only one of one card. But what really was confusing, why would you have an NFT attached to a card which you actually get physically anyway? The whole concept really did escape a lot of collectors generally, and I think that actually had to do a lot with why they just did not sell very well, and that we're seeing this whole idea that $49.99 was just not a good price for these action figures in general. This came to a head not even a few months later. During the 73rd NBA All-Star Game, it was announced, shockingly, that the starting lineup would have a reduced price. Starting lineup is hitting the court hard to celebrate the upcoming 73rd NBA All-Star Game in Utah with a price slash of $49.99 down to $29.99. This was a huge shocker, and I, along with Toy Habits, covered this in one of my live streams. In this, we discussed what was going on at the time, and it was widely speculated that they had dropped the NFT component, which seems to actually have been true. Bobby Thrift on YouTube heads to Marshall's as well, finding Stephen Curry as well as LeBron James. Someone seems to have opened this package and taken out the collectible card, meaning that the collectible card's printed versions are still included with the figures themselves. However, we do know that the NFT portions are not connected. By doing a little bit more diligent searching, I was actually able to find a way to bring up LeBron James as well as the other figures. Type in the name of the basketball player, in this case, LeBron James. And what it'll do is bring up multiple figures, but at the bottom it does say best sellers, and that's where you find the LeBron James figure. Clicking on LeBron James and searching for the term NFT, we can actually find the listing that says for any starting lineup products that was purchased, including a digital startup lineup NFT trading card, please see AFAQ for more information. This indicates to me that NFTs were removed after the All-Star game, which is why the reduced price down to $29.99. That wasn't enough. It's clearly evident that all of these products ended up at massive clearance discounts on Marshalls, TJ Maxx, and possibly Ollies. Which leads me to wonder, what does the future hold for the starting lineup NFL announced early in 2023? Does this even have a chance of continuing, or has Hasbro decided just to shelve the entire project? And what does this mean for Hasbro Pulse, Fanatics, and Panini, as this first experience with the NBA doesn't seem to have gone very well? Well, guys, this was an interesting situation, bar none. The NFT market really sort of exploded around the time of the pandemic. For whatever reason, NFTs really did shoot up. Non-fungible tokens, these digital assets, which could possibly rise in value, there was a lot of hype around them around that time. So much so that in certain instances, pieces of artwork which were becoming NFTs were actually burned in order to contain the overall value of the NFT market. That was absolutely nuts. And fast forward to 2023, the NFT market really has taken a nosedive, and it's kind of questionable as to what happened to those wonderful pieces of art that are actually burned in order to keep the NFT values intact. I wonder where they are right now. The overall experiment for NFTs with Hasbro doesn't seem to have gone particularly well. The idea of starting lineup having NFTs attached to these digital cards that were backed by Panini for, rarity in terms of like gold one of ones, the black commons, the red, somewhat commons, and then, the additional common cards that go on. It was just a confusing issue for a lot of people. You have an NFT, which is a digital asset, which apparently is, gaining value. But then you also have the physical cards, which what type of value do they hold? Do they actually hold any value without the NFT? So what is the point of actually having these physical cards? There was a lot of questions involved with this overall collectability for starting lineup. And of course, it seemed as if Hasbro, Fanatics, and Panini were trying to get the idea of collectability that is residing in most of the older generation who remembers collecting baseball cards, hockey cards, NFL cards, and the idea of collecting comic books and the value that they've accrued over time into something that is now happening with action figures. As we can see, the Star Wars 3 3/4-inch figures are really rising up in value, given the rarity of some of those figures. And more action figures are getting into that market. McFarlane has its gold label editions. There are a lot of different San Diego Comic-Con versions that have literally rose in value. Lego figures, these tiny little Lego men, honestly, they have actually shot up if you have some of those rare, truly rare San Diego Comic-Con versions. It's absolutely nuts. So I think that these three companies tried to come together to create something special, but unfortunately it didn't capture the market as they thought it would. And now we're finding them at massive discount at places like TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Guys, let me know your comments in the comment section below. What are your thoughts about these figures showing up at these discount retailers for massive discount? $12.99 all the way down from $49.99. Did you invest in the NFT-backed starting lineup figures? Do you still have your NFTs, and have they actually risen in value? And what do you think about these physical cards by Panini? Are they going to raise in value? What are your thoughts on these collectibles in general? Let me know those comments in the comment section below, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, guys, please do leave me a like. It really does help me out. And please consider subscribing to the channel. I post up to 2 episodes a week, and I hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you guys will always know when new episodes are posted. Guys, I hope you're all doing well, staying safe. And as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Sports and geek culture, will they ever mix? Good journey, everybody. Geek proud.